It's not the Top 20 podcast. It's a betting show. It's the sound of the start of your weekend. It's sponsored by Skybet. It's me, Ali, and him, George, making betting picks. And it's a full slate of EFL action, which is pretty good stuff. It's for over 18s only, and gambling comes with risks. So be aware of them. Head to gambleaware.org to make sure you understand the risks that come with gambling. Hi, George.
Hi, Ali.
All well?
Well, apart from the fact that I cannot, for love nor money, find a single way to get a return on any of my selections on the betting show in the last 3 weeks, everything's fine. Yeah. Galling. But, it's meant that I spent longer in a coffee shop doing my preparations for this than normal. So hopefully increased preparation will yield better results. I'm process driven. I'm not outcome driven, but the outcomes have been bad.
Sensational. Bit of green for me last week. Wrexham TQ, my nap at home to Ipswich in the FA Cup. That all stood up pretty well. Winner at 6-4. And then Ben Knight, 11-4. We got a Goalscorer winner for the first time in a couple of weeks. Big Caleb Taylor did go close against Wednesday. Ibu Adams went close-ish against Sheffield United. So he almost hit on one of the doubles in the Trixie. We'll try that again this week. So, George, redemption time. What's your nap? What's your best bet?
So my nap is in, doesn't really feel like the normal nap to go for when you're really scratching around trying to find.
I assume you've napped a really good team that you can really hang your hat on a certain level of performance, particularly sort of psychological and good, your strong personality.
Good vibes.
Yeah, a high floor.
My nap is Leicester draw no bet away at Stoke at 6-4.
Incredible.
Like, it's as should all bets be. It's a price thing, and I think there are some.
You spent so long in that coffee shop
that I saw something no one else could possibly see.
You went through all the bets, and you came to Leicester DMB.
Yeah, I mean this is a multifaceted bet. Okay, let's start with Leicester because they're the team that you're betting to get a result, and they've had 4 games since the departure of Martí Cifuentes, and they've lost all 4 of them in all competitions. But I'm kind of willing to take on that form a little bit, in part because we have the rarity of their first 2 games, both defeats, but both coming after first half red cards. Okoli sent off after 15 minutes against Charlton in the game they went on to lose. And then a man sent off, I can't remember who it was, in the away defeat at Birmingham when it was 1-1 after half an hour when they were down to 10 men. So I'm kind of willing to ignore those to a certain degree. You've then got the absolute aberration against Southampton, 3-0 up at half-time, losing the game 4-3. 3-0 up at half-time, though, in a performance that first half performance under Andy King was actually really strong. And it flattered them a bit to be 3 goals ahead, but they were by far the better team in that first half. And then they went away to Southampton. Southampton made more changes than they did for the FA Cup, but they were still the better team for much of that game, and were very unlucky not to progress. So post Cifuentes, I'm basically drawing a line through 2 defeats and saying that 2 of the other defeats there were more signs of good than we'd seen under Cifuentes previously. Gary Rowett is in charge. Now, I have some thoughts about Rowett's suitability to this job. I'm not entirely sure that when you are a team who have better footballers than your opposition in most games in a league campaign, but you're underperforming, Rowett is the guy that you turn to, because in my mind he's a floor raiser, right? He's someone who's going to take a group maybe of less talented players, make them hard to break down, hard to beat, like he did at Oxford last season. And in my mind, Leicester needs someone who can come in and take Mavididi, who 2 years ago was one of the best players in the whole league and is misfiring this season. Take Fatawu, who we know is incredibly talented but doesn't do it often enough. Take James. Take these technical players and breathe life into them and encourage them to play. So that would be my worries long term. But short term, what I know of him, having interviewed him a couple of times and anecdotally about his time at Oxford, he's an incredibly popular guy. He's a very nice guy. He's someone who I think will come in at Leicester. And you mentioned the attitude issues. I have a feeling that in the short term, he'll get a response out of this Leicester group. And will come into a group that are down on confidence and maybe rouse them a little bit. And then a key part of this, and maybe the most important part, is Stoke. It feels like I've kind of gone a bit under the radar for the wrong reasons, where their last league win was a 2-0 win away at Norwich back on the 4th of January. Since then, they have drawn 3 games and lost 4 in the league. And lost 3 in the league and lost to Fulham last time in the FA Cup. They are struggling. Their last 3 home games have been a 2-1 defeat against Middlesbrough, a 2-0 defeat against Southampton, and a 0-0 draw with QPR. There's nothing to fear at all here. And I'm struggling now because they had a good start to the season. There seems to be a bit of complacency about seeing just how poor Stoke have been in recent weeks. And when you've got a Leicester side who come into this quite clearly with a team full of players, whether it's the attacking players I mentioned, or whether it's Ben Nelson at the back, or other players in the side, Pereira, who would obviously be huge parts of Stoke's first team lineup. This is two sides out of form playing against each other, where I think the away team are slightly underrated, coupled with the fact that Gary Rowett back at Stoke, certainly a game that I think he's going to want to show people what he can do, because that was the last time he came into a job like this where there was massive budgets and big expectations, even though this season it's all about staying up. So yeah, I think the market's gone too far in Stoke's favour, and the 6-4 about Leicester draw no bet is my best bet of the weekend.
Okay. My nap is in League Two. It's Swindon to beat Crewe, Alex, at even money. Swindon have won 10 out of 16 home games in League Two this season. They are one of the best teams in the league, as reflected by the league position. Crewe found their way back into the playoff places, and then at home to Fleetwood in midweek, lost by 1-0, comfortably second best, and dropped back out of them. Now, Swindon have had quite a heavy schedule recently, a lot of midweek games, a lot of midweek away games. They performed unbelievably well in the second half at Barnet in midweek to come back and win 2-1. Whether you know the markets and appreciate the underlying numbers, or whether you've just seen Barnet play this season, you know that they are a good team, results or otherwise. And to come back from a goal down at Barnet was very, very impressive from Swindon. And yeah, it's been a pretty chaotic couple of months at Swindon, on pitch, off pitch, in the media, in the fan forums, if you can call what they did a fan forum recently. There's been quite a lot of injuries, but they've got such a big squad that I think they've managed to kind of swallow those and not worry too much. So looking at the team and the bench in midweek looks absolutely fine to me in terms of a League Two team and a bench, and they beat Barnet. Lots of different attacking options, I think, and they all have slightly different profiles as well. That allows Holloway to mix things up quite a lot if things aren't going their way. That was the case, and he was able to turn things around in the second half. Whereas Crewe, they operate with a much thinner squad, way fewer senior professionals. They have had all season really a fair few absences, which make the squad look even thinner. A lot of minutes being played by a small group of players, and a lot of them quite young players as well. And unsurprising, they're quite a volatile team. They're actually doing way better than I expected this season. I think that should be clear. And some of their performances are brilliant. Some of the goals they score are excellent. But that performance against Fleetwood in midweek, almost like you go into the playoff places, suddenly the pressure mounts and you're not looking upwards, you're not chasing upwards, you are there to be shot at, and they lose to a Fleetwood side who are in the bottom half of the table. I think that's slightly concerning. Now they travel to Swindon, terrible place to go as an opponent. 10 of 16 have lost there this season. Crewe's only away win against the top half team this season was against Salford, and that was on opening day. And their next highest team they've beaten away from home was Fleetwood. They are 15th Fleetwood, and they beat them away from home in mid-August. So struggling to beat top teams away from home. The even money, too tempting for me to turn down. Swindon, my nap, at evens to beat Crewe in League Two this weekend. Next best.
Yeah, staying in the Championship, and it's a similar kind of profile of bet where it's another away team, draw no bet. And I'm backing Derby, draw no bet, away at Watford. Now, very different this. It's two teams who are in okay form. I know Watford's results aren't necessarily great, but underlying numbers are generally pretty good. They also have a new manager in Ed Still, who made an okay start to life as Watford manager. It was a decent enough performance in a 2-2 draw away at Preston, where they looked like they might win it before conceding quite late. I have nothing really to say about Watford from a positive or a negative standpoint here. I think the market's probably got them about right. The thing that makes appeal here is just Derby, and the fact that Derby just don't lose very many games of football, really, and therefore getting 11-8 about them away from home is fine, because as mentioned on the Monday pod, Derby's record under Eustace away from home is far better than at home. It's not a huge surprise to me that. I think they're a team that basically revel and thrive when the opposition come onto them, and they can basically defend in a compact shape and look to attack into space and make the most from set pieces. In terms of the defeats that we've seen them have since the beginning of December, you've got an away defeat at Derby, which wasn't great, a home defeat at Wrexham in great form, and a home defeat against Ipswich. So only one away defeat in the league, dating back that far. Like, they're just so rock solid and in really good form. And, you know, there's less cartwheels to do about a game that I think is going to be relatively low scoring. So it's not a huge Watford negative. There's also an element, I guess, where if you're going to look at a tactical matchup and a battle between two teams in the dugout, I'm happier to take the known in Eustace rather than the unknown in Still. But it's a minor point. It's just, this is going to be low scoring. Derby and Masters doing this. They don't get beaten very often, and therefore the 11-8 appeals to me. So that's my next best.
Come on then. Come with me to Goalscorer Corner. One in each league, half-point singles, anytime, and a quarter-point Trixie as well. 2.5 points staked overall, as is the case each week. In the Championship, Ibrahim Osman of Birmingham. Welcome to Goalscorer Corner.
Ozzy Osman.
4-1 anytime to score for Blues at Norwich. This guy is lively. Ibrahim Osman. Really fun to watch. Left winger, or rather playing off the left, but pace to burn. A mentality that says, I'm going to cause chaos. I'm going to dribble. I'm going to sprint. I'm going to get shots off from good areas. I'm going to get some shots off from bad areas. I'm going to get some shots off with my weaker foot, even though it's not particularly strong. And so far in a Birmingham shirt, if we go in reverse chronological order, against Leeds on the weekend, he hit the post. He came off the bench, I think, 60 odd minutes in. I think he had 5 or 6 shots from that point until the end of extra time. West Brom, 0-0 draw. He had one off the line. Unbelievable clearance off the line where he essentially scored, but it was an incredible clearance from Charlie Taylor. Against Leicester, he scored, robbed Ricardo Pereira, and scored. Only Oxford have kept him quiet so far. What a side they are. But against Stoke in his debut, 4 shots in 55 minutes. So a very, very active start to life in a Birmingham shirt, including a goal, 1 off the line, and hitting the post. The 4-1, just based on that, I think is pretty interesting here. He came from Auxerre, where he had 18 shots this season, racking up 1.97 XG. Now, for the real nerds, an XG per shot of 0.11 for a left winger cutting in onto their stronger foot suggests that this isn't just a guy that cuts in and shoots from range and doesn't necessarily have the technique to back it up. You look at his shot map, he does get quite deep inside the box, often from wide areas, but kind of left side of the 6-yard box, left side of the penalty spot, that sort of thing. And his speed, I think, is really interesting here. It should be quite a transitional match, Norwich-Birmingham. It's one of the games I'm most intrigued by this weekend. Have I got some questions about him as a finisher after watching all of his shots on Wyscout? Yes, I have. This ain't Mbappe.
But getting into the areas is half the battle.
4-1, anytime. Ibi Osman of Birmingham City. 4-1 also in League One. Marcus Brown of Wimbledon.
Brownie.
4-1, anytime.
You've always been a bit of a Brown naysayer up to the last couple of weeks, haven't you?
Well,
I don't really understand what he is.
That's a fascinating tee up for what I'm going to say.
Great. That's why we do what we do.
Marcus Brown, striker. I'm really interested in. Marcus Brown, I think until about 2 months ago, certainly for most of his Wimbledon career, from what I've seen, and I think at previous clubs as well, a wide forward, a dribbly type, can play number 10 as well, but not playing at the top of the attack, certainly not playing, on the last line. Someone who'd carry the ball powerfully and skillfully from deep areas, but who I felt was sometimes a little bit overconfident in his goal threat ability, if you like, from those positions. Selfish is what I'm sort of alluding to here. Quite a selfish player. And I don't think an excellent goal scorer from the left wing or from the number 10 role or from the right wing. But Brown's been playing up front for Wimbledon in the last, I actually don't know exactly when it started, but I do know that in the last month, he's been a big goal threat. He's been their number 1 goal threat. Anytime has landed in 4 of his last 8 games in all competitions. Wimbledon have had, after 3 months of dropping down the table, a small resurgence in performances and results, fueled by Brown to an extent. Now, he has benefited from playing with Omar Bugiel, who's one of the great facilitators of our time. Bugiel came off injured in midweek against Cardiff in the first half. We don't know what that injury is right now. Matty Stevens came on and scored. So Bugiel's better for Brown to partner with than Stevens is, I think. But at least we know Brown will definitely be starting if Bugiel is injured. There's very little chance in my eyes that Brown will be rotated out. He is an attacking player with the highest ceiling in this Wimbledon side right now, and he's in good form. And basically playing as a striker, playing as part of the front two, and I think it's brought out the best in him. So there you go. I haven't always been a fan of Marcus Brown, the wide forward, or the number 10, someone who I think a bit like Kobe Bryant at the end of his career, may he rest in peace, someone with a very, very high usage rate who tries to do it all on their own to a way that I think sometimes has been detrimental to the team attack. But not right now. I think Johnny Jackson's found a good role for him. He seems to be enjoying it. They're at home to Bradford, good side Bradford, who've had some good results recently. They've got a group of centre-backs that are not the most fleet-footed, shall we say. So hopefully Marcus Brown can have some joy. I'm very confident that this is value at 4-1 based on the fact he's playing up front, Wimbledon at home. Over to you now, Marcus. Lastly, Ben Knight. Welcome back, Ben. Thank you very much for scoring for us last week at 11-4.
Just will not stop. Scored in midweek without you being able to.
Didn't score in midweek.
Own goal.
Hit Kellen Watts in the face on the way in. Was given to Watts.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't back him. Otherwise I'd be genuinely bitter. But I'm glad you brought that up because Knight, anytime has landed in 5 of his last 10 games, including last week, of course, for us at the same price, 11-4. Should have been 6 out of 10, as George just said, but that midweek goal was initially given to him and then taken away by the panel. The mythical panel. Cambridge are away at Newport, bottom of the table. Got a good win against Salford in midweek. It's a smashy and grabby might be the wrong word, but they scored with 3 of their 6 shots, and Salford only scored with 1 of 20 odd. I still think Cambridge will be strong favourites to win the game and should dominate. They're a much better team. And given the proportion of shots, of Cambridge's total shots that Knight is taking right now, I think it's something like 26% of their total shots and about 31% of all their shots on target in the last 10 games or so. He's had 3 shots or more in 8 of his last 10 games. I'm very confident that he'll be peppering the Newport goal. And I like the price, which is the same as last week at 11-4, and last week scoring, midweek basically scoring. He's shown nothing to suggest that this price is anything other than good value. So I'm excited.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's an underrated market, the basically anytime market. It gives you the goal if you had the initial shot and it goes in off someone. It's a market for the future. So my 3 are Ibrahim Osman of Birmingham at Norwich 4-1 anytime. Marcus Brown of Wimbledon at home to Bradford 4-1 anytime. Ben Knight of Cambridge at Newport 11-4 anytime. The doubles in that Trixie are between 18-1, 24-1, and the treble is 93-1. See how we go.
I've got 2 goal scorers. One's speculative. One's quite a big fancy of mine. There's a weird game. On Saturday. Huddersfield hosts Barnsley. Now, to the untrained eye, this would look like 6th versus 13th. A playoff chasing team up against a mid-table fodder. A mid-table fodder? Just mid-table fodder.
A piece of mid-table fodder.
Huddersfield have played 33 games this season.
To be fed to the Terriers.
Barnsley have played 29 games this season.
Wow.
Huddersfield are on 49 points. Barnsley are on 41 points. My maths off on the show is bad, but I'm pretty sure that equates to an 8-point gap and 4 games difference. So on PPG terms, Barnsley are ahead of Huddersfield.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of feel a bit sorry for Conor Harrowham, where it feels like the job he's doing this season is being overlooked because of the league table quite heavily, where like it's seen like, oh, he's taken Barnsley to mid-table, whereas actually they are banging this race for what we assume will be 6th place, but certainly for the playoffs. David McGoldrick is 11-4 to score anytime, and his season has been quite a strange one, where he started the season in the team. He was then kind of taken out of the side for most of the kind of November, December period, and now he's back in. And since he's come back into the team, he is scoring goals. Scored 2 against Blackpool back in January, 1 against Reading, 1 against Stevenage, 1 against Northampton. So that was a run of 5 goals in 4 games. He was then taken off at half-time against Bolton, didn't score, then scored against Wimbledon in the 3-3 draw, and then didn't score against Peterborough last time out. But the shot volume is massive. He's had 12 shots in the last 2 games. So he's kind of becoming, since Davis Keillor-Dunn moved on, and it's him and Bradshaw up front, he's become just the full-on...
We've got about 4 shots per game that now need to be shared around.
Did
anyone want them?
And David's like, yep, that's what I've been doing for the last 64 years.
Old Father Time in the corner that raises his weary head and goes, I'll have him.
And Huddersfield, after a very good start under Liam Manning, a slightly soul-searching at the moment after a couple of very poor games, especially from an attacking point of view. Given how goalsy Barnsley's game has been recently as well, with loads of goals in all of them, I think the 11-4 about Didsey is a big price. And then I'm going to put on my Ali Maxwell mask on.
Come on.
And go for a centre-back goal scorer. And there's a lot of leaps of faith here, but Travis Akamea of Gillingham on loan from Watford is 16-1 to score any time for Gills.
Yeah.
At home to Oldham.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Just excited to hear about it.
Well, my only concern is that he was dropped for their last game against
Yeah,
Chesterfield,
yeah.
which is a blow. But it's weird because
You don't have any ITK team news for us?
No, but he was seemingly quite good in their defeat against Crewe, where they played much better than they played against Chesterfield. So I'm kind of hoping he was just taken out there as a young player, and he'll be returning to the side against Oldham.
Nice.
He had 3 shots in that game against Crewe, of which one of them was on target. They were all from set pieces. They were all quite near the box. One of them was from a long throw, so he's going forward for long throws as well. He's 6'4", just one of these players who looks to me in the kind of small sample size we've got, 545 minutes, like he is a set piece threat that we just don't know about yet, and the price doesn't reflect that. And we know that Gareth Ainsworth's teams are generally very proficient at set pieces. We've also seen Oldham concede quite a few set piece chances in their last couple of games. XG against in the last 2 has been 0.4 and 0.33. So the Gillingham favourites here and likely to get a lot of opportunities from throws and from corners to launch in the box. If Travis does play, then I expect there'll be flowers in the window. I had to think fast there.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't take the obvious one.
Why does it always rain on me?
Yeah,
well,
I actually love that for you.
It's how it feels right now.
I absolutely love that for you.
And
it's so good when someone tries to make like a cool reference on a podcast and they don't use the obvious one.
And if he scores, I will sing.
Eggs all over. The Eggman. That's me. That's my 5-fold acca with Sky Bet. And there are 3 Saturday 12:30 games within it. I make no apology for that because, look, we're all at different stages of life, aren't we? And like that comes with different circumstances. And for me, my personal circumstance right now, 12:30 is my 3 p.m.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
So
nap time.
Fortunate to have a wonderful young daughter. Don't want to get emotional, but I really love her. And on Saturdays, where I like to spend as much time with her as possible, she sleeps, all being well, touch wood, from 12:30 till 2:30. And so the 12:30 Saturday games, wow, I love them. Oh, I really lean into them. And therefore, I don't feel bad that 3 of the eggs are in the early kickoff because it's my 3 p.m. and this is my bet. And actually, I'm much more across the 12:30s live than I probably am the 3 p.m s pushing a swing in the playground. So, Swindon Crew, that's a 12:30 game. As discussed, Swindon my nap there in the egg. Coventry at West Brom. Coventry, welcome back to the fold, Coventry. What a win that was against Borough on Monday night, showing character and more. I'm expecting them to have a real zip about them in this game against West Brom. I'm expecting another good performance. We saw individuals playing well in all areas of the pitch, and we saw Haji Wright taking chances. And given that pretty much whenever Haji Wright plays, Haji Wright gets chances, Haji Wright taking chances normally means his team score goals. Now, with West Brom, got against them 2 weeks ago, and they drew 0-0 with Stoke. That was a loser. But Cup weekend, I think, in between that and this, meant that no one was really focusing on West Brom. They had an all-championship clash in the 4th round of the FA Cup. No one really cares about all-championship clashes. They're the worst possible cup draw. But they got absolutely hammered by Norwich, continuing a trend of their 4 or 5 previous games. So it's not like they had a break from league action and it was a soothing balm for them. No. They were really bad again and they lost again by 3-1. Last time out in the league, they scraped a 0-0 draw with Birmingham, who had 2 off the line, 1 disallowed, which, yes, Damari Gray was standing in front of the goalkeeper blocking his vision, but you can't tell me the keeper would have saved that anyway. So fortunate for them, even if it may have been the right decision. Blues also hit the post in the 98th minute. There were some good saves in there from O'Leary. They were second best. They had a 0-0 against Stoke, a 1-1 against Derby where they equalised with a 95th minute set piece. Those 2 were actually their best performances so far under Eric Ramsey. We're talking about a 0-0 and a 1-1 draw. They were humped by Portsmouth and Norwich, and they were beaten by Borough in his first game, as we may remember. So it's still a really bad team playing really badly in my eyes. Not a sausage being created from open play. In his 6 matches, the last 6 matches, 1.86 XG total in 6 games. That's 0.31 XG from open play being created per match. That means 1 expected goal being created every 3 games from open play. Then there's the vibe, the atmosphere, the concerns of relegation. If Coventry go ahead, I don't expect there to be an awful lot of support from the stands for the manager, for the players. The fans are fed up. They have every right to be. So Coventry are in there. Fleetwood are in there as well. They're 21-20, same price as Cov. Good performance midweek to win at Crewe, caught my eye. And I looked a little bit deeper into the post-Pete Wild era. I thought their season would kind of just drift to its end, but actually really impressed with the caretaker manager, or I think he's got it till the end of the season, Matt Lawler, 5 games under him, and I really like the cut of his jib. Interesting guy because he was caretaker for Waterford, the League of Ireland team that owned by the same ownership as Fleetwood. He took caretaker charge twice last season, either side of John Coleman being their manager, can you believe? And in those games, he had a 5-win, 2-draw, 2-defeat record. But this was basically a relegation candidate, so those are really impressive results for that context. He kept them up in a relegation playoff, which they won under him. He was Waterford's saver, basically. And now he's here, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats since he took charge. The defeats against Bromley and Notts, no shame there, both 2-1, not Miles' second best. Beat Harrogate, and then the big standout win against Crewe with a draw and a decent performance at Oldham. So yeah, kind of impressed with his start. I think they've got a decent, fairly settled sort of 13, 14 players right now playing in a system that suits them. They're at home to Barrow, who, yeah, they won Dino Mamria's first game 1-0, and it was a bit of a snatched 1-0 win from a set piece. Followed it up with a terrible display and a defeat to Harrogate from the relegation zone. So yeah, managers are an important factor, and Mamria is probably better for Barrow right now than Paul Gallagher was. But boy, are these players bad. 12 defeats in their last 18 games, kind of bad. I think Fleetwood will beat them. Notts should beat Tranmere at home. I've got them in their 1.7, 7-10. Their 6-game winning run ended with a draw at Bromley and then a 1-0 defeat at Shrews in midweek. Unlucky with the penalty decision that could and probably should have gone their way against Shrews. Not a great performance, but I'm not that concerned. The Jata injury hasn't helped. But Tranmere come to town. They've lost 10 of their last 13 in the league. And the teams they've not lost to, Harrogate, Crawley, and home to Fleetwood, they're a really, really bad team right now. I expect Notts to get back to winning ways at home. And then the last one, probably the most interesting, the longest price of all, is Colchester to beat Barnet at home at 17-10. Look, Barnet numbers are Barnet numbers. I think we know that at this point.
Oh, it's just absolutely absurd.
They make them, the Barnet numbers make me, A, think they're quite a good team, but B, make them almost unbackable for me because I don't believe at this point that it's reflective of their likelihood of winning games. We've got a 32, 33 game sample size now, I guess. They take the most shots in the league over the season. They face the second fewest. They have really, really good aspects of their play, really extended spells in games where they're really good, but very rarely for a full 90. And they are wobbly too. And we know that at this point, there is something about how they behave in both boxes which is lacking. Call it killer instinct, I think some people would. Colew's defensive XG, second best in the last 5 in the league, second best in the last 10, third best all season long. It's not going to be easy for Barnet to create. And if they do commit, this is where Colew can hurt you. They're not the quickest at the back, Barnet, and Colew are probably the quickest up front. They've got the holy trinity of Bishop, Reed and Payne back fit and starting in midfield, and then speedy wingers and Tavide up front. 7 wins in their last 10 at home in the league. I like that price, 17-10, for them to do so again. The Eggman fivefold is at 38.58 with Sky Bet. Come on, the Egg.
Akaswerve. Now I need to be very clear here. Put a disclaimer out before I talk about what I'm going to say. Millwall are a very good team, have a huge chance of finishing in the playoffs this season and maybe even in the top 2. They could well be a Premier League side next season. Okay, my Akaswerve are Millwall, who are at home to Pompey. They are 4-5 to do so. It's very little to do with them. They obviously completely screwed me over last weekend in conceding a goal. Max Crocombe just spilling a long shot from 30 yards into Jamal Lowe's path to go 1-0 down. I'd back them to win 2-0 before they scored twice shortly afterwards to win the game 2-1. They were still pretty good in the game. They missed loads of chances at 0-0. There's not too much to worry about there. This is mainly just Portsmouth. Portsmouth went off a ridiculously short price against Preston, and again, they lost 1-0 in. If that price was accurate, then it suggests that they are much better than their league position. I think there's quite a lot of evidence mounting now that they are better than their league position. They were good in the 3-1 win over Charlton in midweek. They were good in their 1-0 defeat against Sheffield United, the better team for 70 minutes of that game, despite losing at 1-0. They were good in their 3-0 home win over West Brom. They've got loads of injuries, and I think this might be impacting their price a bit because they were a big price in midweek as well. But I think when you look at an injury list and you're like, oh no, they're missing Chaplin and Murphy and all these players, but the performances are better than they have been all season, then you have to kind of ignore it, surely. Yep. And they seem to be hitting their stride at a really good time. So yes, they're not a very good side away from home. Yes, they've only won 2 games away from home all season. But one of those games was their last game, even though they were helped by a goalkeeping error. there as well, with Kaminsky letting the long shot fly through his legs from range. So yeah, I think 4-5 is very, very short for a team to be against this Pompey side, who look to be hitting their form, despite the fact that Millwall are a very good side.
BTTS sixfold to finish us off. I've actually got Millwall Portsmouth in it. Millwall class at the moment, to be honest, playing really, really well. I think they'll score at home to Pompey. Femi Aziz is a genius. But I agree with you. Portsmouth's numbers recently can't be ignored. They've been really good, really active going forward. I think Milinik Ali's made a massive difference. What a pickup from them on loan from the league below to fill the Josh Murphy void and fill it pretty well. I think that BTTS at 10 to 11 is a really good price in Millwall Portsmouth. The same in Norwich Birmingham, much shorter price. I think, as I said earlier, with the Ibi Osman pick, that it'll be a fairly transition-based game. I think both teams will give it a decent go. I think both teams a good bet to score in this one. And then Wrexham Ipswich, this one's at 4-5, also in the Championship. Watched that cup game last Friday night. Both teams really going at it. I think Wrexham at home, BTTS, always worth a look, certainly at this price. So my three are Millwall Portsmouth, Norwich Birmingham, and Wrexham Ipswich in the Championship. What have you got?
Yeah, I've got one from the Championship, and that is favourites of this bet in Hull, who host QPR. QPR also kind of favourites of this because QPR generally, I think, always priced wrong in terms of goals, because under Julien Stéphan, they've been pretty goalsy. I'm a little bit concerned about Hull's recent improvement defensively.
Great way of summing that up. You said Hull, always a favourite of these bets. QPR, BTTS this season, 22 out of 32, 69%. Hull, 19 out of 31, 61%.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do that for the next one? League One?
Yeah, all right.
Port Vale Reading?
I'll do it. Oh, I thought you were going to keep talking.
No.
I can do.
Well, I mean,
you definitely don't want me to do that for
okay,
Reading,
cool.
Port Vale.
Port Vale versus Reading.
This is actually mental. You do want me to do this.
Oh, thank you.
Reading, BTTS has landed in the most in Reading games of
go.
any League One team.
I knew it.
22 out of 32, 69%.
And they've got a striker who apparently is going to be fit for Saturday despite going off injured in midweek, who every time he kicks the ball, it goes in.
Port Vale, the other end of that table, 10 of 29.
Yeah, but we know
34%.
that it's changing under John Brady. This is a home game for Port Vale where they they cannot not go for this, right? Yeah. Drawing a blank here would be a disaster. Like, they are running out of time to find any way to wrestle their way back into some kind of possibility of staying up this season. And a Reading side who the results have been good, but I think there are some alarm bells in terms of the underlying numbers in recent games. It should be quite end-to-end, you'd think. Top scorer in the league for Reading and now in Jack Marriott. And then Newport Cambridge. This is even money, which is a surprise to me because Newport have scored quite a lot of goals in home games under Christian Fuchs, their relatively new manager. This is because Cambridge is so good defensively, and I get that, but it's not like they consistently keep teams out. They also recently went to Harrogate, who are, alongside Newport, the worst team in the Football League, and they conceded twice in a 2-1 defeat. Newport come here off the back of scoring 3 against Salford. Yes, they didn't create loads, but the chance they did create were very good. So that even money, I think, is a huge price, especially, again, not Newport County need wins. Like, they're not going to set up for this game to defend and draw it 0-0, and it's seemingly not the way that Fuchs like to manage anyway. So, yeah, my 3, Hull QPR 8-11, Port Vale Reading at 8-11, and Newport Cambridge at even money.
Lovely. Let's recap our selections. I'll go first. And my nap is Swindon to win at home to Crewe. Even money in League 2. Goalscorer corner has half a point anytime on Ibrahim Osman of Birmingham, 4-1. Marcus Brown of Wimbledon, 4-1. Ben Knight of Cambridge, 11-4. And a quarter point Trixie on the 3. The Eggman, 5-fold Acker. Swindon, my nap, yes, but also in the Championship, Coventry at West Brom, and then back in League 2, all home teams, Fleetwood at home to Barrow, Notts at home to Tranmere, Colchester at home to Barnet. The BTTS sixfold has Millwall Portsmouth, Norwich Birmingham, Wrexham Ipswich, and Hull QPR in the Championship, Port Vale and Reading in League 1, Newport Cambridge in League 2. Hit me.
My nap is. Leicester draw no bet away at Stoke at 6-4. My next best, Derby County, draw no bet away at Watford at 11-8. My goal scorers, David McGoldrick at 11-4, anytime for Barnsley away at Huddersfield. And then Travis. Have I got another one? No. Travis Fran Healy, Akamea. I would wait assuming the price isn't going to go anywhere, I'd wait for team news on Saturday about the centre back
until match day is a little closer.
Yeah. Did you just Google Trevor songs?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's 16-1 to score any time, and I'm swerving Millwall in my ACCA despite them being an excellent football team.
Get your driftwood. God,
that's an obvious one.
Let's listen to some of these.
Hopefully he doesn't get on the driftwood.
Well, if he does drift and then is named in the starting lineup and then we back him at 2:00 on Saturday, everyone's happy. Everyone's a winner. Just quick aside, someone on Entity 20 Squad's betting squad, as part of our tipping competition that we run on that squad, this might be the most unlucky loser that you can possibly have. Actually brings me out in a rash. Backed Crescencio Somerville anytime as part of our tipping competition in the FA Cup last weekend. Somerville didn't start, but did come off the bench. So you miss that first hour before he comes off the bench. Bet stands, goes into extras. He hasn't scored. Does score in extra time. Not an anytime winner.
When Oxford played Charlton away in the, I can't remember what it was then, probably the Coca-Cola Cup or the Worthington Cup or whatever it was. Must have been like year 2000. We beat them on penalties, and my dad had put a bet on before the game on Oxford to win.
Yeah.
And so he was jubilant for many reasons, and he went to go and collect. And the guy said to him, "Sorry, mate, this is a loser. 90 minutes only. So there is a lesson to you all."
Everyone has to learn it at some point. Cup games fraught with danger on that front. And that's why we went Wrexham TQ last Friday. Turns out we didn't even need it. They would have won anyway at 5-2. Thank you very much for listening, to Sky Bet for sponsoring this podcast, and to our preferred band, The Reverters, not Travis, The Reverters. Go well.